Team news update, Brighton v United. Man UTD.com reporter Adam Marshall at Old Trafford. By Adam Marshall. Friday, the 17th of May 2024 16:00 Share with Twitter. Share with Facebook. Manchester United have welcomed Raphael Varane, Victor Lindelof and Anthony Martial back into training. All three were spotted in our footage from Carrington, released on Friday, as the Reds prepare for our final assignment of the 2023-24 Premier League at Brighton and Hove Albion on Sunday, 4 p.m. British Summer Time kickoff. Lisandro Martinez and Marcus Rashford were also present, after coming off the bench in the 3-2 win over Newcastle United, and it was pleasing to see young Dan Gore back involved, after injury disrupted his loan spell at Port Vale. Bruno Fernandes played in an advanced role in midweek and, despite appearing to be struggling a little when replaced late on, should be fine for the weekend, following his return from a 2-game layoff. Bruno didn't miss so much and he's fit, manager Erik told Club Media. I would say that is one of my least concerns, if he can keep going. He's fresh and he's in very good form, but the others you mentioned, it's important to get game time. They missed some games. Rashford, since Coventry, but, of course, like Martinez missed, I would say, almost the whole season. So every minute that he can get, we have to give him. Rasmus Højlund came on to show his qualities again with a well-taken strike against the Magpies, and will be in contention to start, while Ahmad is another who enhanced his claims on Wednesday with a goal and assist. Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw hope to be back for the Emirates FA Cup final against Manchester City, although the latter's chances appear slimmer, while Mason Mount has also been sidelined. Tyrell Malaysia has missed the entire campaign. By Mikey Partington. Friday the 17th of May 2024 12:56 Share with Twitter. Share with Facebook. Manchester United's 2023-24 Premier League campaign draws to a close this weekend, with a trip to Brighton and Hove Albion in the last round of matches. Securing a place in European competition for 2024-25 remains possible for the Reds during Sunday's 4 p.m. British Summer Time kickoff at the Amex Stadium, which will be our penultimate outing of the term, ahead of next week's campaign concluding Emirates FA Cup final appearance. Scroll down for more information on the final day permutations, plus live coverage info, team news, and further insight on Brighton, in our match preview. Erik reported during Thursday's press conference that Victor Lindelof and Raphael Varane had been back on the grass earlier in the day, and while it is unclear whether they will be available on the south coast, it seems the pair have a chance to return before the end of the season. Harry Maguire, Anthony Martial, Mason Mount and Luke Shaw are all recent absentees without specified return dates as of yet, although it appears they will miss this weekend's outing. As for Brighton, Roberto De Zerbi is yet to hold his pre-match media briefing, but the Seagulls boss is waiting for news on the extent of captain Lewis Dunk's knee injury, sustained in Wednesday's 2-1 defeat to Chelsea. The availability of fellow defender Joel Veltman is unclear, after he missed the Chelsea clash, while Jan-Paul van Hecke is already confirmed to be out for Sunday. Pervis Estupinan, Evan Ferguson, Jack Hinchelwood, Solly March, James Milner and Kaoru Mitoma are also injured. What is at stake? United can secure at least a place in next season's UEFA Conference League on Sunday, but will need to better Newcastle United's result at Brentford to stand a chance of leapfrogging the Magpies into 7th place. The two clubs are level on 57 points after Wednesday's 3-2 win for Ten Hag's team at Old Trafford, but the Northeast outfit have a much superior goal difference to ours. A Newcastle victory on Sunday would all but guarantee they finish ahead of us, but anything less would leave the door open for the Reds to overtake. Ending the season in 6th is not mathematically impossible, although extremely unlikely, as it would require a win that moves us above Newcastle and closes a 16-goal swing to Chelsea, who would have to lose their game at home to Bournemouth. While a 7th-place finish would guarantee a Conference League spot, United could still play in the UEFA Europa League instead next season, should we beat Man City in next weekend's FA Cup final. Manchester United handed shock injury boost ahead of Premier League finale and FA Cup final. The latest Manchester United news as Erik Ten Hag's side travel to take on Brighton in the final Premier League game of the season before facing Manchester City in the FA Cup final. Manchester United may have been handed an unexpected injury boost ahead of the final 2 games of the season with forward Anthony Martial back in training. The Frenchman has not made an appearance for United since December after undergoing surgery on his groin. He faces a race against time to make a comeback before the end of the season, but it looks like he has taken another major step to winning that race. Erik Ten Hag revealed at the start of the month that he was back in partial training as he stepped up his recovery. It now seems that Martial has joined his teammates for training ahead of the final game of the season against Brighton and Hove Albion. Pictures on United's official website show the striker walking out onto the training pitch alongside Rasmus Højlund as well as taking part in training. If he does manage to make it onto the pitch for either the game versus Brighton or the FA Cup final against Man City, then it looks set to be his final appearance as a United player. Martial is out of contract in the summer and his 9-year spell at Old Trafford looks destined to come to an end. The forward was seen waving goodbye to the United fans after the 3-2 win over Newcastle United on Wednesday night. He has had a number of injury problems over the last 3 seasons, causing him to miss several games. That led to former United captain Roy Keane remarking that United cannot rely on injury-prone players. "If you are constantly injured, you are no good to anybody. Okay, every club will have its few injuries," he said. "But there are certain players in that group they are always injured. You can't rely on these players to turn up week in and week out and play for Man United." Man United opened talks for £60 million Prem destroyer with 2 Serie A gems to follow. Manchester United are in talks over a brilliant triple signing with a Premier League star joining 2 Serie A signings. Manchester United are accelerating plans for what will be a huge summer of transfer business by entering talks over a deal for Crystal Palace star Michael Olise. The France U21 international has enjoyed a brilliant season for the Eagles, where he has established himself as their best player and leading light, with his game coming on another level since the appointment of Oliver Glasner as manager. Palace would understandably love to keep the winger, who has 10 goals and 5 assists from just 18 Premier League appearances this season, but his situation is complicated by a release clause inserted in his latest deal, which he penned last summer. That extension came after Chelsea moved to trigger the £40 million clause that existed in his previous deal. And while talks were held over a move to Stamford Bridge, Olise decided to stay, with the Blues instead moving for Cole Palmer from Manchester City in a move which also paid rich dividends. As a reward for staying, Palace extended Olise's deal and also raised that exit clause to £60 million, a fee they hoped would put him beyond the reach of the Premier League's big boys. However, after Team Talk revealing way back in March that Olise has been placed right at the top of Ratcliffe's summer wish list, it has now been revealed by Fabrizio Romano that talks over a move to Old Trafford are now underway between the club and his agent. Olise recently ran riot at Selhurst Park, scoring twice against Manchester United as the Eagles romped to a 4-0 victory. As a result, Ratcliffe is now said to be more convinced than ever about bringing in the player, and the player too is said to be keen on making the move. The United chief plans to fund the move by offloading the underperforming Antony, with the Brazilian only managing 11 goals and 5 assists in 82 appearances since a £85 million move from Ajax in summer 2022. Man United also hold talks over Adrien Rabiot and Francesco Kamada signings. Ratcliffe is determined to hit the ground running on the transfer front this summer and wants to waste little time in landing on his top targets. As a result, it's claimed the British billionaire also wants to bring in a new striker, midfielder, and centre-half. Per reports in Italy, United have stepped up their quest to fill 2 of these in the form of Adrien Rabiot and Francesco Kamada. France